Welcome to the Wise Idea Weekly Podcast with Christopher J. Harris, focusing on life, leadership, family, marriage, and the church. We are providing tools for our inspiration and wisdom for life. Our goal is to inspire everyday people to live wise lives. If you're new to us, we release a brand new podcast weekly on Thursdays. Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode. Here's our host, Christopher J. Harris.
Hello, my friends. So excited to have you guys tuned back in for another episode. Man, we're rolling. Rolling. Yeah, so anyways, y'all know I'm not a singer. Well, I'm so glad to have all of you hanging out with us every single week for the Wise Idea podcast. It is a major blessing, major opportunity. And I just look forward to every single week being able to interact with each of you as we bring quality information, quality content, inspiring information, wisdom nuggets that are literally changing the way that people think and the way that people are inspired and the way that people engage in life. All month long, we have been talking about how social media has changed our lives. And last episode, Miss Robin Ware of the Ware Agency was just like dropping so many major nuggets and insight and inspiration and wisdom that was literally challenging us in so many different great ways, challenging us individually in our own lives with regards to social media, but also challenging us that are church leaders and how our churches engage in social media and even strategies around just engagement and first impressions and customer service and just all of those things. And so it's been an amazing conversation. And so today we hear part 2 of this conversation. I want to make sure that you pull out your notes app on your phone, get a pen, get some water, and get yourself in a place where you'll be able to hear without being distracted, because we're getting ready to go even further with our conversation with Miss Robin Ware. Here we go. So let's do this, Robin. I want to do 2 things. So I want you to give all of us 4 to 5 things that you believe are major gaps that people have not been doing and should be doing with social media. And then the second thing is that yellow piece of paper you held up had a lot of notes on it. So I want to make sure that I don't take up all the time with my questions and not give you some space to make sure that there's stuff on there that you know you've prepared for, that we also give you space to do that.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Wow. So your first part was what now? 4 to 5 things?
4 to 5 things that you're like, would y'all, like when you see this stuff, you're like, okay, these people really need to catch up with the times. So 4 or 5 things. And if you only have 2 or 3, that's fine too. But just some gaps that you believe individuals, organizations, businesses, and churches do that are like, come on, y'all, like y'all should know better by now. It's 2000, right. We're almost 2020 now. Like what are those, what are those list of things that are going on there?
Well, one of the things that stands out, and I think you would agree to this, is when someone posts a graphic that's not been sized for the network it's posted on. So there's a specific reason why Instagram tells you that the image should be 612 by 612, right? So I think that for somebody to put, an 8.5 by 11 graphic and shrink it, or they use one of those apps to force it to fit, you can't read the text. And so it's, a total waste of time. So that's one of my big no-nos. And then I like to make it easier. I always tell my students and my churches that you shouldn't make people, right? And so one of the ways that people will pay you is if you solve a problem for them. So always focus on what problem you solve, right? Again, it shouldn't be about me, and, being narcissistic when you're on social media, but always show a problem and how you can solve it, because people will pay for any type of convenience. Right? So that goes back to my being purposeful about when you're on social media. The third thing I would say is make sure that you do your homework before you set up your accounts so that your profile names can be the same across all networks. And that's as simple as using nameck.com. That's one of the websites I use. that I'll go in and I'll put when I'm working with a new church and setting up their profiles or helping them to do that, is to verify that profile name is available on all networks. That makes it easier. So when you're doing your marketing, you're able to say, go to @Robin and Ware on all networks, right?
Yeah. I'll put that in the show notes for everybody too.
Okay, good. And then the other thing is, I would say from a church perspective, is to make sure that you are building from your church account and not from the pastor's account. Because if there's ever a change in leadership, and not only just pastor, but I've seen YouTube channels for churches that belong to a member, right? Because
Wow.
that member, when they set it up, they attached it to their email address. So make sure that you're doing everything. Your home base is the church. It's the church's accounts. And if not, I know of a mega church right now that has no control over their Facebook page, because a member started that page some years ago before the church caught on to the value of having a presence on Facebook.
Wow.
Even down to domain names. I know churches where we were trying to get new websites done and the member wouldn't transfer ownership over of the domain name.
Yikes.
Yeah, real talk. And then lastly, I talk about this in my new book, The Ultimate Guide to Facebook for Churches. And that is for those of you that have pastors and leaders that aren't as open to social media. A lot of that is probably because they don't understand the strategy to it and the benefit. And just like we've been taught as great leaders, anytime you have a problem or an opportunity presents itself, always come with a solution. And so in my book, I talk about the strategies as well as the intended outcomes so that you can get their buy-in. When I was trying to introduce my own pastor to social media, I initially was turned down. And when I got to him one-on-one, he was very open to it. And now, as you know, I call him the Bishop of Twitter. He's got, over 250,000 followers on Twitter. Well, 6-7 years ago, when I wanted him to be on it, some of the folks, powers that be, didn't understand it and they weren't in support of it. So, thank God, I got around that. But there are people, even in 2018, that their leadership does not have a presence. Their church doesn't have a viable presence on social media. And lastly, and then I'll stop talking because I'm talking too much. If you're using social media just to convey your announcements, then you're wasting time. Announcements are the least paid attention to part of service. And so if you're just putting your announcements on your social media, then they're going to become the least paid attention to pages. So sure, you can put announcements on social media, but there's a strategy. And that's why I put all of that in my book to help ministries understand. You may not have a large team. You don't need a large team. You may not have a large budget. Don't need a large budget. What you need is consistency, and you need a plan.
So, all right. So another segue, because you're dropping so many nuggets here. All right. So what's the solution to church announcements? Like, if it's the least focused on time in the service, come on, Robin, help us out. What is the solution?
That I can't tell you because, you have to pay me for that. But,
okay.
Because now you're crossing the line into my church consulting, and I'm not giving you that.
That was called a shutdown.
In love, though. In love. But I have some great strategies for alternatives to church announcements. I most certainly do.
Oh, look at that. I was not ready for that.
Yeah, you're wise to say that. Need so, but I'll give you a hint. Social media does play a part in it.
Okay,
that's all you're getting though.
Okay, no, that's good. So, but I think I hope one of the things that people are taking away from our conversation is really intentionality, right? So everything has to be intentional. Like even at our church, a number of weeks ago, as we were talking about Vacation Bible School. Well, if you've been around the church world for 10 years, 15 years, you've heard about Vacation Bible School, right? But I think the term has outlived itself. And so we're even at a place now where we've said, this is the last year we're going to use that. We're going to come up with another term and phrase, summer academy or summer camp, or something like that, that really helps to build a bridge to the folks that we say we're trying to reach with Vacation Bible School or VBS. So whether it's social media, both personally or with your business or with your church, whatever it is, your marketing, the conversations that you're having, I think what Robin is sharing with us today is it's really important to be intentional. Because one of my pet peeves, Robin, is when I see churches that do their marketing and on their flyers or their graphics, and it blows my mind. And I don't know if you've seen this or not, where they literally have no contact information. So if I see the flyer, I'm like, I don't even know what city y'all are in. I don't have a phone number. I don't have an address.
Right. Because they're not thinking beyond the four walls of their church.
Oh, so that's the why.
Right. That's the why. They think it's just posted on their Facebook page for their church members. But they're not thinking that social media makes them global.
That's good.
That's one of those churches that has global or international in their names, and they don't even have passports. So,
Lord have mercy.
I get so tickled.
Oh, listen, I'm over here. I'm really trying not to laugh so loud in the microphone, but that was hilarious. You hear me? Listen, because you and I both have seen churches whose names, like the name takes up the whole front of the business card, but they got no passports. Like, for real?
Right.
Let me ask you this. Now, this may be, because our time is getting away from us here, but this may be, I hope this is not a loaded question. It's really an authentic one.
Okay.
You've worked with churches of all sizes and all colors and all hues and denominations. Yeah. Have you seen any trends with churches that African-American churches predominantly versus churches that may be multi-ethnic or, primarily white or anything like that in terms of social media? Have there been any trends there, or do you just see consistency across all the platform regardless?
Well, to be honest with you, I do see consistency across all the platforms regardless of nationality, or race. But I will say this, that this probably isn't a big revelation, but a lot of our clear sisters and brothers, my co-pastor, Pastor Deborah B. Morton, give her a shout out. She always says clear people. So my clear brothers and sisters, I find them to be a little more progressive and open to technology. I was so excited. I went to a church recently, and they have, Starbucks and, coffee station and all of that. And they embrace their members bringing the Starbucks in the sanctuary. And I said, hallelujah. One of the churches I visited, they had a popcorn machine in the parking lot. Like when the people, their first impression ministry team, what they did, literally upon arrival, the visitors were given, free popcorn, soda, whatever, and they could go right on in the sanctuary. And so it's kind of the same thing with technology. I love it. I would love to see more of our African-American churches, stop right in the middle of service, have a Twitter wall where people can tweet questions. You ever heard a sermon and you're like, I don't think that's right, or I need a little more clarity on that point? Instead of trying to make sure we get our 3 points in and a hoop and a holler, it would be more valuable, just in my little opinion, to stop and to have more of a teaching moment in our worship experiences. Because you know what, Christopher? We shout, we dance, we sweat our hair out, and then we go in the parking lot and we are still just and full of issues as we were when we got there. Whereas if you're able to stop in the middle and really explain grace, really explain deliverance, really explain, as I always like to say, faith that goes the distance, while you've got the large group there, because a lot of churches, our African-American churches, we will do that during our Bible studies. But those don't have the attendance, the population attendance that we do on Sundays. So why wouldn't we just say, let's shut it down, even if it's just one Sunday a month, to kind of ease people into it, and say, we're going to have a handout today. This handout has 30 fill-in-the-blank questions. and you're going to listen and fill in, what I'm trying to say. So I find that our clear brothers and sisters are a little bit more open to being more out of the box with their worship experiences. So, but I'm seeing some, movement as it relates to African American churches. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and I think just for those that are listening to this, just so that you all will receive the spirit that Robin offered that in, I have been a part of predominantly African American churches, multi-ethnic church, predominantly white church, and I'm of the mindset that there is something that all of those communities can learn from each other.
That's right.
That one race doesnnwe have a pattern on the different dynamics of the kingdom or the Bible or even the expression of how we live our faith out, worship, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
right.
All right. So I've got one more thing that I want to do before we close out, but I do want to seriously, are there other things that you had prepared that you want to make sure that we say or lift up before we start wrapping this conversation up today?
Well, one of the things, you said I have, I'm a woman of many talents and hats. By profession, I'm a meeting planner. And so that's really how my gifts, my the gift of administration really kind of showed up in ministry. And so I do still serve in that capacity in teaching leaders. And so I have an event coming up that I'd like to share, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
September the 22nd, I have a faith-based event planners workshop. So I'll show you the little flyer here, but it is a faith-based event planners. It's a boot camp. And I'm doing it specifically for faith-based because that speaks to my commitment to always operate in purpose. And so I want to help ministries conduct, from worship services, special events to conferences, how to do that from a business point of excellence. So understanding the jargon, understanding the lingo, understanding contracts and how they work. Just because you're a church doesn't mean that, a hotel or a venue is going to go easy on you. No, they still want to make it a profitable experience for them. And they have no desire of making it a win-win. I'm just, I have a certification. I've been teaching in the industry. I'm a well-respected industry speaker with the major trade organizations. And so I bring that back and I share that with ministries. And so that's September the 22nd. It's only $25 if you register during the early bird, and it includes lunch because I have full sponsorship. And that's the other piece. We'll be teaching about sponsorship because yes, churches can attract sponsors, but there's a way to go about it.
Yeah, and they will. I've learned this over time as an executive pastor and sort of on that administrative side of churches, and of course with some other organizations as well. You're right. They're gonna charge you union wages, yes. And you better make sure that you are familiar with the contracts and the details of those contracts. Because if you're not, there's going to be all kinds of additional fees and things of that nature and minimums and all of that you got to meet. And if you're not prepared to do it, it will throw your budget out of whack for sure. And
I have some clients, I just do the contract. I do site selection and contract negotiation with hotels because there's so much money on the table. And then, they take the planning piece and all of that from there. So it's important that we as kingdom representatives, that we understand the business side of the kingdom.
Absolutely. And I think, I'll say this and then we're going to shift gears. You mentioned or referenced the gift of administration. And of course, I have that gift as well. Yes. I believe that it is one of the least appreciated gifts in the church world, in the body of Christ, because we look for, the gifts that have the microphones or, the public gifts, if you would. But really, when it comes to systems and structures and strategies and administration, it is that infrastructure, that foundation that allows everything else to be built off of.
That's right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, so I like to have fun with every guest that I bring on the Wise Idea, and you're included in that now. So it's called a hot seat, the quickfire questions.
I'm ready.
All right, so I normally tell people or ask people, okay, do you need to get a drink of water first? Because I'm going to throw them at you fast.
All right, okay, here we go.
Oh, I see your water right there. I won't tell anybody about it.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So every episode of the Wise Idea podcast, we have this Quickfire Round, and it's just a fun way for us to laugh a little bit and to let you all know that these people are crushing it in their space. They are killing it on their platform, but they are also everyday people doing life and living life and enjoying life. So here we go, Miss Robin. First question. If you could do any other career, what would you do?
Oh my goodness, I would be an actress.
Wow, that's surprising. Okay, Apple or PC?
Oh, Apple all day.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Okay. What's the best meal you've ever had and where was it?
Wow, the best meal I've ever had. I don't think I've had it, to be honest with you, but anything my mother cooks, I love, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Oh my goodness. The Devil Wears Prada. I love that movie. There's so many leadership points from that movie.
I don't even know how to respond. That got me. I was surprised by that. Okay, I got to keep going. Okay. We can talk about that one offline. That surprised me, right? That was a curveball. All right, favorite TV show?
Oh, right now, Power.
Okay. Favorite quote?
Oh, don't let the start stop you. I got tons of those, but I'll give you that one.
Top 3 items on your bucket list?
Oh, to go to Dubai, to buy my dream house, and to pay cash for my dream house.
Last 3 books you've read?
Oh, The Church Growth, Flywheel. Let's see, of course, the Bible. I read that, regularly. And
you can't include the Bible.
Oh, I can't include the Bible.
No.
I need my Kindle out. I don't know. They're all leadership books though, because I'm in this space of doing church growth stuff. So
okay, all right. What one book have you read that has had the most impact on you in your life?
Oh, The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss.
All right. What has been the highest, most
besides
proudest,
the Bible?
Yeah. What has been the highest, most proudest moment of your life?
Oh, wow. I think I'm living it right now, being able to live my dream life, take care of my parents, travel, and just be in a great space.
All right. When you're alone in the car, what do you think about?
Oh, creative ideas. I'm always creating in my mind, always.
Okay. Did you win any superlatives in high school?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay. Last question. One thing that people would be surprised to know about you.
I'm a twin. I have a twin brother, and he's 6 foot tall and I'm 5 foot tall. So he took all the height.
Who's older, you or him?
He is by 5 minutes, but I'm the boss.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. That I could see that.
Twins run in our family, so he and his wife have twin girls.
Wow.
Yeah. So it didn't skip.
All right. I said that was going to be the last question. I'll ask this last one. This will be the last one, I promise. What are you not good at?
Let me see. I guess relationships, since I'm not married. As you can see, I love to laugh. I just keep it real. So, I don't know. I'll just keep it real.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So the stuff that you encounter on the Wise Idea podcast.
Right.
Listen,
right.
ladies and gentlemen. Okay, listen. I have no follow-up to that. None. None whatsoever. All right. So Robin Ware.
You thought I was gonna say cook, but I can cook.
Okay.
Thank
all right.
you.
Yep. We got to start right there, because otherwise I'm going to have people emailing me like, how do I get in touch with her to like take her out on a date or something? And I'm not getting in the middle of that. That is hilarious.
That is so funny.
Well, thank you so much, seriously though, for being on. I have a page full of notes from our conversation today, and I know that you've added value to those that have listened to this. Here is the summary, guys. Social media has changed our lives. It has changed the trajectory of how we interact, both online and in the real world. And I can say, even as a parent, I'm navigating new spaces as it relates to social media and what that looks like, and boundaries that we have to set in our families and how we interact with one another and all of that. And Robin Ware, I'm going to put all of her contact information, how to connect with her, even on social media, in the show notes. You'll be able to connect with her. And I would encourage you guys to check her out on Facebook and Periscope and all those other video streaming things on a regular basis. She does these incredible videos, live videos of adding content and challenging, and she does coaching. And so if that's a space that you're in, I want to invite you to do that. I feel no hesitation at all of speaking to her credibility and lending my name for that. So please make sure you do that. You know what I say every single week. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you the next time, but most importantly, live wisely.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the Wise Idea Podcast with Christopher J. Harris. We hope you enjoyed our time together. If you did and would like additional resources and information, you can find the previous episodes, show notes, featured guest information, and more at www.thewise-ideapodcast.com. We also invite you to join the conversation on social media. The Wise Idea Podcast is on Twitter and Facebook. Find us at The Wise Idea and at our Facebook group, The Wise Idea Podcast. On Instagram, find us at The Wise Idea Podcast. Our host is also on social media. You can find him regularly on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest, all located at CJ Harris 1. Finally, if you enjoyed what you've heard, head over to iTunes and or Google Play and leave a rating and review for other listeners to find us. Our podcast is also on Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you the next time. Live wisely.